Right, so 1j, our function is f of x equal to 1 plus x squared, right? We know that the formula is f prime of x equal to the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Okay, so the formula is very important. You have to write it correctly, and this is how you write the formula. Okay, it is provided when you write the final examination. We might give you for the doing control test and the trial examination. It will be there at the back, but it must be here in the head.
So you ask us to repeat it.
No. All right. Then the first thing that you must always do, determine the expression for f of x plus h. Okay, because f of x will always be given. Okay, f of x will always be given. So f of x plus h is equal to, what this means is where there is x here, put x plus h. So that will become 1 plus x plus h all squared. Right? If you simplify this, you get 1 plus. Now, this h plus h all squared is actually made up of two factors that are identical, and those two factors, they belong to a perfect square trinomial. So you want to go back to the basics, which I'm going to do now, x plus h times x plus h. If you simplify that, you get x times x, which is x squared, x times h, you get xh plus h times x, you get x, another xh plus h times h, and that will give you h squared. Okay, because of my space, I'm gonna drop it down. Then when you simplify this, okay, in fact, you don't have to simplify, you can simplify this part. So you end up getting, I'm gonna rewrite it nicely now. I'll interchange, I'll swap around the terms. So you get x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 1. Okay? Alright. So we have got f of x plus h plus equal to x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 1. So substitute that there. Alright? Substitute this there. Then where there is f of x, we put 1 plus x squared and then we simplify. Alright? That's what I'm going to do on the next page. Now, before I carry on, I want you to be aware that I know by inspection the answer. Okay, I'll show you how to do that later on when you do what are called rules of differentiation. Okay, I know the answer by inspection. Now let me carry on from here. So I'm going to go back to my formula and I'll substitute that. So f prime of x will be equal to the limit as h tends to 0 of x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 1 minus, open bracket, 1 plus x squared. So I have substituted the expression I got here, the expression for f of x plus h. I know that f of x is equal to 1 plus x squared. But because it's a binomial, I have to put it inside brackets. Don't forget to do that. Especially the expression for f of x is a binomial or a trinomial. My denominator is h. Then I'm going to remove that bracket. So the limit as h tends to 0 of that whole expression, x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 1 minus x squared all over h. Okay? In most cases, you'll find that some of the terms are going to cancel out. Okay? So this x squared and that minus x squared, this 1 and that minus 1. So you end up having 2xh plus h squared all over h. So this becomes the limit as h tends to 0 of 2xh plus h squared all over h. Alright? Now when you get here, never make the mistake of substituting h equal to 0. Okay, you have to simplify the numerator by factorization. So that becomes the limit as h tends to 0 of h times 2x plus h all over h. I expect all of you to be looking on the board. Okay? Whether you like it or not, in your June control test, there will be a question on first principles. Trial examination, it will be there. Let's step off. Final examination, it will be there. So this part that we are doing is so important because it is always assessed. Then these two will cancel. Right? So you end up getting a simplified expression, which will be 2x plus h. Then, now I can substitute h equal to 0. So if I substitute h equal to 0, I'll get 2x plus 0. My final answer will be 2x. So my derivative of f of x is equal to 2x. Okay? And then we are done. Usually 5 or 6 marks to do a question like that. Alright, any question? Alright, so let's move on. If you don't have any questions, let's move on to the next one. The next one was 1f is f of x equal to x cubed. Okay? So allow me to find, by now you should know that first thing, determine f of x plus h. So I'll find my f of x plus h first. Okay, so that will be equal to x plus h cubed.
So
Yes?
you still write spread when the data is G in the question.
You have to write what?
If the data is G in question.
No. Well, generally, well, was it given as g?
Yes.
Okay, if it was given as g, then we have to put g. So if it was given as g, we have to write it as g. Okay, so let's do that. So it becomes g of x equal to x cubed, which means when we write our derivative, the formula should be g prime of x. Okay? It won't be f of x to be g prime of x. Yeah, it will depend on the function you are given. But generally, in most cases, it's f of x. Right? So what this means, it will be g x plus h. That will be equal to x plus h cubed. So this will give me x plus h times x plus h times x plus h 3 times. If I multiply the first two, I'll get x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Right? You should know that by now. Okay? You multiply the first two, they'll give you x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Right? Then let's multiply that trinomial by the binomial. Right? Okay, allow me to multiply this x by these 3 first, so I'll get x cubed plus 2x squared h plus h squared x. Okay? Then we multiply the h by all 3, we get plus hx squared plus 2xh squared plus h cubed. Now let's check if they're like this. Well, looks like we don't have like this. This one here, it's 2x squared h, this is hx squared. So these two are like this. This one here and that one. Alright? So I can simplify it to get x cubed plus 3x squared 3x squared h.
So that also that x squared x and 2x x squared.
Okay? No. They are not like this. This, okay, yes, this h squared x and that 2x h squared, yes. So that will be plus 3x h squared plus h cubed. Yeah. So this is gx plus h. Okay, I'm sure you can see that it's a little bit long. So if you make a silly mistake there, it will affect your answer. Right? So let me write my formula to be g prime of x is equal to the limit as h tends to 0 of g of x plus h minus g of x. Please be aware that we are using g here because our function is given as g. Okay? If it's given as f, you can use f. The formula that I introduced yesterday was because it's a general formula. Okay, but as you know from function notation, g of x, h of x, and so on, they are all the same. So this is all over h. So where there is g of x plus h, I'm going to substitute this by those four terms. Okay? It's not complicated, just algebra. Everything I'm doing here is not grade 12 part. The grade 12 part is the formula, but the rest is not grade 12. Right, so let me carry on. So g prime of x will be equal to the limit as h tends to 0 of x cubed. It will be x cubed 3xh squared. So 3x squared h plus 3xh squared plus h cubed, right? Minus x cubed all over h. Fortunately, this x cubed and that minus x cubed will cancel out. When that happens, we'll be left with 3x squared h plus 3x h squared plus h cubed all over h. Then the next step is to factorize. We'll get limit as h tends to 0 of h times 3x squared plus 3xh plus h squared all over h. Well, these two will cancel out. Alright, I know the answer. Alright, so you get limit h tends to 0 of 3x squared plus 3xh plus h squared. Now we are substituting h equal to 0. So that will become 3x squared, which is the answer, plus 3x times 0, which is 0, plus h plus 0 squared, which is 0. So the final answer will be g prime of x to be equal to 3x squared. Okay? Right? So that's what you were supposed to have done.